Welcome to another DIY video. This week we're going to be making the base for the oak tabletop. I'm going to be referring to my drawing in this video. If you haven't seen the first video of how to make the oak top, please check it out. I'll leave a card here for you to click on. Okay, now to make the legs for the table. I'm going to cut 4 bits equal length, 70 centimetres. So yeah, that would be about the right height. So let's go and do that. I'm using the 3x2 inch treated timber I had left over from when I built my decking in a previous video. I'm just sanding this down just to make sure it's smooth. I'm now measuring 70 centimetres for the legs. And now I'm going to cut these. I'm just making sure these two are exactly the same length, as these are going to go up one end of the table. Okay, that's the other two done. Again, I'm checking these exactly to make sure they're the same height. And I'll keep these together up the other end. Okay, that's the legs cut. Now I've just got to work out the width and which section of wood I need for the width. So they're the legs I've cut. I've just got to cut a bit of timber that's going to go between. I'm going to have a brace that's going to go across there, and then a section that's going to go across there. And it all become clear once I cut it. I'm now cutting the 4 horizontal cross sections. Okay, I've cut the sections that go across. It's going to go like that, down there somewhere. What I'll do, I'll drill a couple of holes there, there and there, each side. And I'm going to use timber bolts to go through, hex screws that will go through and attach to there. Okay, that's the leg there, and that's the bracy bit that goes across. I don't think that's a technical name for it. That goes across there, and the bolts are going to go, the timber bolts, hex screws are going to go through there and clamp it all together. So all I'm going to do is to mark, let's pick the nicest bit, that's going to go on the inside, mark here where the bolts are going to go through. Let's measure it, make sure they're all the same on each leg. Okay, these are the timber bolts I'm going to use. So it's 2 centimetres and then 6 centimetres. I'm just going to test this on an off-cut piece of timber I've got. I'm going to drill holes and then put the timber bolts through just to check it's okay before I actually do this properly on my nice bits of timber. That's about the right size. I'll drill a hole for the timber bolts to go through. So the timber bolt goes through there. So I mean, that doesn't look too bad, that's quite nice. So I might just do it like that. But I definitely need some longer hex screws. Time to go shopping. Okay, these are the legs. And I've measured actually 2.5 centimetres in and 5.5 centimetres, just so, for example, when the brace part goes across, it's not too far out, the timber bolts aren't too far out here because it will just split the wood. So I've had to do it slightly narrower so it's not going to split the wood. Okay, I'll drill the countersunk section first. And then the holes for the hex screws to go through so that it's not going to split this wood. Okay, great. I'll do that on all the other bits. Okay, I've done that on all of them, all the legs. I've just got to work out then how high up the bar that goes across will be. So I reckon about there is about right. So that is 18.5 centimetres one hole, and then 21.5 centimetres. So I'll do exactly the same I've done there on there. Great, I'll do that on all the others. Put a bit of masking tape around there just so I know how deep I'm going to drill.
I'm using a 9mm drill bit to countersink the hex screws that I'm using. I'm using 6.7mm by 150mm hex screws. I'm using a 6mm wood drill bit.
Now also what I've got to work out is the back brace and where the holes are going to go for that without hitting the bolts I've got there. But we'll come to that later. Okay, I'll do some further sanding on these just to get them nice and smooth, and then I'll glue them and bolt them together. Okay, now I'm going to cut the two long sections that are going to go on the back. So I've just got to measure and make sure that it's got the same overhang. So it's 180 in total, and then I've got the two legs at the either end. So I'm going to measure 164, which allows for a 3 centimetre overhang of the oak top on each side. And I refer to the diagram so it's a bit clearer.
You can see one of the horizontal 3x2s in this diagram. The other one sits just underneath the oak top and goes between the two back legs.
Okay, I'll measure and then I'll cut this outside just so I don't make a mess in here.
I'm clamping these two bits of wood together just for speed, but also to doubly make sure that I'm going to cut them exactly the same length. More sanding. I'm using a P40 grade sandpaper first, and then I'll change it to a P120 grade just to get it much smoother.
Okay, that's all the bits all sanded down nicely. I'll give it a brush over and a wipe with a damp cloth, and then I'm going to do something special with it. So what I'm going to do for the finish is just water down this paint to 50-50, basically add 50% water to this and brush it on lightly onto the wood. A regular emulsion would work probably better. This is a kitchen one, there might be some sort of sheen on it, but let's try it out. Let's test it on a bit of wood and see how it goes. Okay, just like that, and then all the wood grain comes through.
It's really easy to finish and seal the timber this way, as all you need to do is just give it one light coat. It looks so much quicker when you speed up the video too. I'm just going to let these dry now, but you can see the wood grain has really come through.
Okay, got the good old faithful timber locks, hex screws, timber bolts, call them what you like, but I'm going to use these. They're 15 centimetre long, and I've got all my bits laid out ready. So that's one end, and then that's the other end of the bench.
These legs and braces are for one end, and this lot is for the other end of the table. I'll keep them all together just to keep them nice and organised, so I know exactly how they're going to be screwed together.
Okay, let's whack it together.
I'm gluing and screwing these all together. I'm making sure I'm holding them firmly in place. Great, that looks quite good. Now for the cross section. Again, I'm gluing and screwing these together. It's going to be easier to do this by pushing them firmly against the ground. Again, I'm holding this in exactly the right position. I'm readjusting this one as it wasn't quite flush. A little bit of wangling will help. Yep, that's done it. Now for the other leg. I'm holding it firmly in place while I'm screwing it together. I'm using a clamp just on this end, just to hold it in place. It's a little bit easier to do it this way. Great, that's that one done. Okay, now for the legs on the other side. This bit of timber is slightly warped, so I'm just using my clamp and holding this and then just moving it into the right position while I screw it in place. Right, that's all done now. And they don't look too bad. I haven't painted the ends of the table legs here, as you won't see these because they'll be against the tabletop. Now I'm going to drill holes in the back of the legs here for the horizontal cross sections. I'm measuring and marking up where the holes are going to go. First of all, I'm going to countersink the holes with my 9mm drill bit, and then I'm going to use my 6mm drill bit just to drill straight through them. This will avoid the timber splitting when I screw it together. Okay, that's the hole done. I've had to offset these holes so they don't foul against the other screws. That's the area here all cleared of the old pink-legged desk. And now I'm going to screw the table together. It was easier just to bring all the bits up and put it together in place. I just hope all my measurements are right and it all fits. I'm putting pads on the bottom of these legs here so they don't scratch the wood floor. I'm going to screw it all together upside down as it's a little bit easier to do it this way. Again, I'm gluing and screwing. This part is a little bit more tricky as I'm going to have to hold it in position and then screw. I really need 3 hands to this job. Okay, that's all screwed together now. Now to turn it up the right way and put it in position. Great, that fits okay. But actually there's a little bit of a problem here. I didn't take into account this plug socket. But it should be okay. I think I can still get my plug in there. Okay, that's the frame in. All I've got to do now is put the top on and then I'll drill some pilot holes just in here. But I'll check the top just to see where it's not sitting right because of the boards, the oak boards are quite warped. And then I'll make sure that I screw up into that just to hold it firmly in place. Right, I'm going to put the oak top on there. It's pretty heavy. And it fits. I'm glad I measured it correctly. I'll line it all up and then screw it up, screw it in place. But it's pretty good already. The only cost for this was the timber bolts, as I had to buy these. All the other parts I had left over from previous jobs, but I suppose I did pay for them at one point or another. Well, that's another job done. That's how you make a bespoke oak top desk. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for some more DIY videos.